The phone rang late at night, just as I was getting ready for bed. I almost didn't answer, but something told me I had to. When I picked up, my daughter's voice came through the line, shaking but determined. "Dad," she said, "I'm getting married tomorrow. And your car and house are sold." The words didn't make sense at first. My heart pounded in my chest as if I'd misheard. But I didn't. She said it again, clearer this time. "Your car and your house are gone. It's already done." In that moment, it felt like the world tilted beneath me. My daughter, the little girl I had raised, the one I had sacrificed everything, had just torn my life apart in one phone call. I need to take you back a little so you can understand how this all began. Her name is Emily. 23 years old, smart, beautiful, but stubborn as wildfire. She was my only child after her mother passed away when she was just 8. I tried to be both parents for her, working long hours, cooking her meals, sitting through school plays with a forced smile, even when grief was eating me alive. Everything I had, I gave to her. And maybe that was the mistake. Maybe I gave her too much. Emily had always been headstrong. When she turned 18, she started dating men I didn't approve of. Men who were older, flashy, with smooth words and empty pockets. She wanted adventure and freedom. I wanted stability for her. We argued, of course we did. But in the end, I always caved. She was all I had. The man she's marrying, his name is Mark. From the first time I met him, I knew he was troubled. His smile was too polished, his promises too big. He didn't have a steady job, but he talked about big investments and life-changing opportunities. I'd seen men like him before. They always left destruction behind. Emily, though, she was enchanted. Every time I warned her, she pushed back harder. "You don't understand, Dad," she'd say. "He loves me. He sees me for who I really am." But what I saw was manipulation. And then came tonight's call. I gripped the phone so my knuckles turned white. "Emily, what do you mean my car and house are sold? How could you possibly?" I had to. She cut me off. "Mark and I needed the money. We're getting married tomorrow. We can't start our life with nothing." Her words stabbed deeper than any knife. "Emily," I whispered, "those are my things. My house. My car. You had no right. You don't get it." She snapped, her voice breaking. "This is my chance, Dad. My only chance to have the life I deserve. I had to do it." And then, as if nothing earth-shattering had just been said, she added softly, "I hope you'll come to the wedding." I sat there in stunned silence, listening to the line go dead. My mind reeled. How? How had she sold my home, my car, without me even knowing? Was it legal? Did Mark forget papers? Or had Emily really taken my trust and twisted it into betrayal? Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments which country you're watching this video from. Enjoy the story. Sleep was impossible that night. I paced the empty halls of the home I wasn't sure was even mine anymore. Every photograph on the wall mocked me, birthday parties, graduations, every smile that I thought meant something. And all I could think of was tomorrow. Tomorrow, she would stand at an altar with that man. Tomorrow, I will face the truth of what she had done. But deep inside, a question clawed at me. If she could take my house and car so easily, what else could she take? This wasn't just about a wedding anymore. It was about survival. Sleep was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my daughter's face calm, determined, and almost unrecognizable. How could she sell my house and my car, the very things I worked my entire life to build, without my knowledge? By morning, I had one goal. I needed answers. The first stop was the bank. My voice trembled as I explained the situation to the manager, asking if my property records had been touched. He pulled up the files, and my stomach dropped as he confirmed it. The house wasn't in my name anymore. Papers had been filed, notarized, and signed by Emily. But how? I whispered, staring at the screen. The manager shrugged. "Your daughter had power of attorney over your assets. She brought the paperwork weeks ago. Everything was legally transferred." Power of attorney? My mind raced. Months earlier, Emily had begged me to sign a few documents she claimed were for school loans and insurance forms. She played the role of the desperate daughter, tears in her eyes, swearing it was nothing serious. And I, blind with love and trust, had signed without reading the fine print. I felt sick. Leaving the bank, I drove. Not drove. I walked. My car was gone, sold like the rest. I borrowed a ride from a neighbor and made my way to Emily's apartment. I had to look her in the eye, ask her what game she was playing, and why Mark had such control over her. The apartment door swung open, and there she was. Her hair was tied back, her eyes bright, and her suitcase sat by the door. She looked like a bride ready to run off to a fairy tale. "Dad," she said almost cheerfully, "I didn't expect you so early." "Emily," I replied, my voice low, "we need to talk." Now, inside, Mark was sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone. He barely looked up, just smirked as if he owned the place and me. "What did you do?" I demanded, turning to Emily. "The house, the car, everything I worked for. You took it all." She shifted uncomfortably, glancing at Mark before speaking. "Dad, you don't understand. Mark has big plans. He's investing. This wedding, it's not just about us. It's about building a future. Selling those things was necessary." Necessary? My voice cracked. "Emily, you've been manipulated. Can't you see? He's using you. He's using both of us." Mark finally stood, his grin wide and arrogant. "Sir, with all due respect, you're old-fashioned. You hold on to things that tie you down. Houses, cars, possessions, they're just objects. Emily and me, we're moving into a future of freedom. Money, investment, opportunities you wouldn't understand." His words burned like acid. I had seen men like him before, smooth talkers, con men with flashy promises, and no real foundation. "Emily," I pleaded, ignoring Mark, "listen to me. He's not who he says he is. He's stripping you of everything, of me, from your home, of your stability. Please think for a second." But Emily's face hardened. "Dad, I've made my choice. Tomorrow is my wedding. You can either come and support me, or you can stay away." Her words were final, like a door slamming shut. As I left the apartment, my chest felt tight. I wasn't just losing my house or my car. I was losing my daughter. But deep down, something darker gnawed at me. This wasn't just about Emily being naive. This was calculated. Mark had orchestrated this with precision, getting her to trick me into signing my assets away, pushing her into quick decisions, isolating her from me. And if he could do this with a house and a car, what would he do next? Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments which country you're watching this video from. Enjoy the story. That night, I sat at my kitchen table, no, not my kitchen anymore, and began making calls. Friends, old colleagues, anyone who might know who Mark really was. If he thought I would watch my daughter walk into his trap without a fight, he was wrong. Something told me tomorrow's wedding wouldn't just decide Emily's future. It might decide whether I still had a family at all. That night, I couldn't sleep. Emily's words replayed in my head, sharper than any nightmare. Support me or stay away. The ultimatum burned. But beneath her defiance, I could hear something else, a rehearsed tone, almost like she was repeating lines fed to her. That wasn't my daughter speaking freely. That was Mark's shadow hanging over her. By sunrise, I'd already made up my mind. If I couldn't protect my home or my car, I could still protect my daughter. But first, I had to know the truth about the man she was about to marry. I started small. I drove to the dinner where Emily used to work part-time in college. The owner, Mrs. Harlow, remembered her fondly. When I mentioned Mark's name, her smile faltered. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. "Your daughter's fiancé. I've seen him before. He used to come here with another woman. A different one every few months. He always paid in cash and always left in a hurry, like he didn't want anyone to remember him." Her words chilled me. But gossip wasn't proof. I needed something solid. Next, I went to the courthouse downtown. Public records don't lie, even when people do. After hours of scrolling through files, I found his name, Mark Henderson. Divorce records, restraining orders, debt lawsuits. My pulse quickened. There it was, the hidden life he never wanted Emily to know. One case stood out. A woman named Clara had filed for divorce just 2 years ago, citing fraud and emotional manipulation. Clara claimed Mark had pressured her into signing over her savings, promising to build a future together. By the time she realized what he was doing, the money was gone, and so was he. My chest tightened. This wasn't just a mistake Emily was making. This was a pattern. Mark was a predator, and my daughter was his next target. I left the courthouse clutching copies of those records like they were weapons. But as I drove home, paranoia crept in. What if Emily refused to believe me? What if showing her proof only pushed her further into his arms? That night, I tested the water. I called Emily again. "Sweetheart," I said gently, "can we talk one more time before tomorrow?" There was a long pause at the other end. Then her voice came, tired and sharp. "Dad, why can't you just be happy for me? Mark loves me. He's giving me a life you never could." My heart sank, but I forced myself to stay calm. "Emily, love doesn't mean selling everything behind someone's back. Love doesn't mean isolating you from your family. Please, just meet me. If you're right about him, I'll walk away forever. But if I'm right, you need to know before it's too late." For the first time, she hesitated. I could hear her breathing, shaky, uncertain. Then Mark's voice thundered faintly in the background, demanding to know who she was talking to. The line went dead. I stared at the phone, trembling. Tomorrow was the wedding. If I didn't act fast, Emily's life would be tied to his forever. I made one last desperate decision. I tracked down Clara, the woman who had divorced Mark. She lived 2 towns over. When I knocked on her door, she looked at me with weary eyes, as if she'd been waiting for this day. "You must be Emily's father," she said before I even introduced myself. Stunned, I asked how she knew. "Because Mark only has one trick," she whispered. "He finds women who trust too easily, convinces them to hand over everything, then leaves them broken." I was lucky enough to escape. But most aren't. She handed me a small folder, photos, text, financial documents, proof of everything. "Show her this," Clara urged. "It's the only way she'll see him for who he really is." I thanked her, clutching the folder as if it were life itself. As I drove home, one thought consumed me. Tomorrow, I will stand at that wedding. Not as a guest, not as a father blessing his daughter's choice, but as the only line of defense between her and ruin. The night before the wedding felt endless. The house was quiet, stripped bare after the sale, like a ghost of the life I once had. But inside me, the fire was stronger than ever. Emily was walking into a trap, and I had less than 24 hours to pull her out. The morning of the wedding felt like a storm gathering inside me. I didn't sleep. My mind replayed Clara's words repeatedly, along with the images and papers she gave me. I kept asking myself, would my daughter even believe me? Or would she turn against me, blinded by Mark's smooth lies? The sun rose, but instead of warmth, it felt harsh, exposing, unforgiving. I ironed the same suit I wore to her high school graduation. The same suit I'd worn when I walked her down the aisle in her childhood pretend weddings. And now I might be wearing it to rip apart her real one. I gripped the folder of evidence tighter than anything I had ever held before. Court documents, testimonies, and screenshots were all there. My proof. My ammunition. When I arrived at the church, the parking lot was already full. Cars lined every space, and guests in colorful clothes moved toward the doors, smiling, laughing, completely unaware of the truth beneath the surface. My chest tightened. To everyone else, this was a happy day. To me, it was a trap being set around my daughter's life. Inside, the decorations were beautiful. White roses, golden ribbons, and the faint scent of perfume mixed with candles. It should have felt magical. Instead, it felt like a stage designed to hide a sinister play. I spotted Mark at the front, standing tall in a sharp black tuxedo. He shook hands, smiled, and charmed every guest that passed. But I saw something in his smile others didn't. It wasn't joy. It was calculation. Like a predator watching prey walk willingly into his arms. My daughter wasn't in sight yet. That gave me time. I moved quietly to the side aisle, clutching the folder, rehearsing in my mind what I would say. My heart pounded, not from fear of Mark, but from fear of losing my daughter forever. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments which country you're watching this video from. Enjoy the story. I noticed a group of bridesmaids rushing by, whispering about last-minute changes. Their hurried footsteps reminded me of a ticking clock. The ceremony was minutes away. I needed to act. I made my way toward the back, where I knew the bride's room would be. My palms were sweating, my throat dry, but I knocked anyway. After a pause, the door opened, and there she was, my daughter, in a flowing white gown, radiant as ever. For a split second, I almost forgot everything. She looked like the little girl I used to read bedtime stories to, except grown, graceful, and heartbreakingly distant. "Dad," she said, surprised, her voice hushed. "What are you doing here?" "You weren't supposed to." "I need to talk to you," I interrupted, stepping inside quickly. "It's important. More important than anything else right now." She frowned, adjusting her veil. "Dad, please don't do this." "Not today." I opened the folder and laid out the papers on the table in front of her. "You must see this. It's about Mark. He isn't who he says he is. He's done this before. Look, court documents, restraining orders, his ex-wife's testimony. He's dangerous." Her eyes flicked to the papers but quickly filled with tears. She shook her head. "No, you don't know him. He told me you'd do something like this, that you try to ruin everything, because you don't want me happy." The words cut deep. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Mark had already poisoned her against me. But then the door swung open. Mark himself stood there, his smile gone, his eyes dark and cold. He looked from me at the papers, then back again. His voice was low, sharp. "What exactly are you doing here?" The air in the room froze. My daughter gasped, torn between us, her hands trembling. Mark stepped closer, his charm stripped away, replaced by something raw and dangerous. And in that instant, I knew this wasn't just about evidence anymore. This was about a battle for my daughter's soul, right here, right now. Mark's shadow filled the doorway as he stepped inside, his eyes narrowing at the sight of the papers spread across the table. My daughter stood frozen between us, her hands clutched at her veil, like it might protect her from the chaos spiraling around her. "Answer me," Mark hissed, his voice stripped to the honeyed tone he used on everyone else. "What do you think you're doing, barging in here, trying to ruin her day?" I held my ground, the folder pressed to my chest like a shield. "I'm saving her." "From you." My daughter's voice cracked as she turned to him. "Mark, is any of this true? Did you hide these things from me?" For a flicker of a second, his mask slipped. His jaw tightened, his eyes hardened, but then he smoothed it over, forcing a smile. "Sweetheart, don't you see? This is exactly what I warned you about. Your father is jealous. He can't stand the thought of you building a life without him. He dug up lies to scare you." Lies. He reached for her hand, but I stepped between them. My voice rose, not with anger, but with the desperation of a father about to lose everything. "Lies? Then explain the restraining order. Explain the ex-wife's testimony. Explain the money you stole, the debts you left behind. Are all those people lying too, Mark?" The room felt like it was collapsing. My daughter's face paled as she glanced back at the documents. She wanted to believe him, needed to believe him, but doubt had already wormed its way in. Mark's smile faltered, replaced with a sneer. He leaned close, his voice low so only I could hear. "You don't know who you're messing with. Walk away now, and maybe you'll keep what little you have left." I stared at him, unblinking. "You already sold what I had left, my house, my car. But you won't take my daughter." Before he could answer, the door opened wider. One of the bridesmaids had overheard. Her wide eyes darted from the tense scene to the papers on the table. She gasped, then ran down the hall. Within moments, voices filled the air outside. Guests began to whisper. The secret was slipping out into the open. Mark realized it too. His composure cracked. He grabbed my daughter's wrist, his charm gone, revealing the predator beneath. "We're leaving. Right now." She winced, pulling back. "Mark, let go. You're hurting me."